Hey everyone, and welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely wild, Oscar Catwood's futuristic spy novel. We're looking at two atmospheres, the architecture of fear versus the shield of community. It's basically a masterclass in psychological warfare. It perfectly blends those invisible modern world threats we all kind of worry about with the very real power of human connection. So let's just jump right in and unpack this chilling architecture of fear and the totally grassroots resistance that rises up to fight it. The first wave didn't look like terror. It looked like weather. I mean, wow, that is exactly how Catwood pulls us right into the visceral, super high-stakes mystery of our main character, Kael's world. Now, Kael is an agent for Section 9, this really shadowy intelligence group, and he's totally used to dealing with abstract contingency plans. But this cold open, it sets a deadly serious tone right off the bat. It immediately tells us that the threat here isn't, a bomb or some invading army. It's something way more intimate and insidious. It is literally the air these characters are breathing. And you see just how lightning fast this invisible threat escalates with the Sao Paulo cruise ship crisis. Okay, picture this. It's supposed to be a completely safe, curated holiday for pensioners. But suddenly, just 3 days in, people start collapsing. And the symptoms are bizarre. We're talking sudden fevers that just vanish, violent tremors, even though their blood panels come back totally clean, and severe heart arrhythmias with zero medical history of it. The timeline is terrifying. At 18 hours, a distress signal goes out. By 24 hours, 3 passengers are dead. And hit 36 hours, boom. Aerial shots of the quarantine ship, crews in full hazmat suits, and terrified passengers are literally dominating every single major news channel on Earth. The sheer speed of it is just mind-blowing. But here's the thing. Kael notices something all those news cameras completely miss. When he scrubs through the footage, he spots the sub-visible threat. He sees this faint, barely there lattice pattern up in the upper atmosphere. It's almost like a grid was drawn in the sky and then half erased. And right alongside it, this distinct metallic taste on the tongue. That's when he and his colleague Alara realize, guys, this isn't some natural plague. No way. This is a highly ordered sub-visible aerosol release. The particulates are actually metallic complexes, basically a carrier matrix that absolutely does not act like your standard industrial pollution. So what's the villain's actual game plan here? The antagonist, known as the Darchitect, has a strategy that is both brilliant and totally terrifying. Because the physical toxin, it's actually entirely secondary. The real weapon is what we can call the recipe for compliance, which relies on 3 things: high uncertainty, low information, and maximum fear. The primary weapon is actually the media narrative itself. By just relentlessly blasting reports of mystery syndromes and new variants, the Darchitect keeps everyone stuck in chronic alarm. Think about it. You don't even need to fatally poison people if you can just convince them that every single breath they take might be contaminated. You just need to keep their nervous systems in a constant, inescapable state of microshock. To really grasp why this works so well, we have to look at a concept Alara introduces, and honestly, it is absolutely fascinating. She calls it the field. Basically, she explains that every single one of us lives inside a field, this electromagnetic, emotional, and informational boundary that surrounds us. And get this. This is exactly what the Darchitect's weaponized fear is actually attacking. It isn't just some biochemical assault on the lungs. It's a direct attack on the human energetic boundary itself. Now, I know that sounds a bit abstract, but it translates into a very clinical, step-by-step physiological attack. Here's how it works. Step 1, the media hysteria triggers a chronic stress response in the body. Step 2, all that sustained panic actively suppresses your immune function, literally weakening you physically. Step 3, as the fear really takes over, that human field we just talked about, it contracts, it pulls inward and becomes jagged, making it highly permeable to dissonance. And finally, step 4, a population kept in this constant state of fragmented attention and chronic alarm becomes incredibly suggestible. They end up isolated, totally vulnerable, and just so much easier to manage and control on a massive planetary scale. So, all of this brings us to a massive, seemingly impossible question. How on earth do you fight weaponized air? Seriously, how do you fight an enemy that has literally infiltrated the atmosphere and hijacked the very news channels you rely on to stay safe? If the Darchitect is orchestrating this massive top-down global terror, what could possibly stand against it? Well, the answer Catwood gives us is incredibly profound. The resistance, which is referred to as the work of the Watcher, doesn't come from big militaries or governments, not at all. It's a quiet resistance. It just sort of emerges naturally in these uncoordinated grassroots communities that were already operating outside the main system anyway. We're talking about places like an experimental well-being village out in the Welsh Hills, local healers running small holdings just outside Sub Hollow, and even a desert retreat center in New Mexico. What all these places share is a deep focus on nervous system recovery. They aren't fighting back with weapons, right? They are fighting back with slow breathing, gentle movement, and genuine human presence. And the contrast between these two worlds is just exceptionally sharp. On the one side, you've got the Darchitect's world. It's this frantic, toxic environment filled with media hysteria, relentless doom scrolling, deep isolation, and those permeable, jagged fields we talked about. But then, on the other side, you have the Watcher's world. These are grounded, quiet communities focusing on support, slow breathing, shared meals, and actively keeping their fields coherent. So while the Darchitect's world is constantly screaming, "What if we die?" the Watcher's world is quietly asking, "How do we live well, whatever happens?" This whole idea is captured perfectly in one simple, incredibly powerful mantra: let your field be your shield. Honestly, this is the philosophical anchor of our whole explainer today. And the cool part, it didn't come from some slick marketing agency or a government broadcast. It actually originated from a quiet former systems engineer just speaking at the end of a community gathering. And it's so beautiful how it spread. It didn't travel down official channels of power. It spread along lines of trust, from a community kitchen in Birmingham, over to a circle of mothers in a Brazilian favela, right to an underground network of midwives in London. Just 3 little beats of language, literally rewriting the human operating system. But it's not just some nice poetic sentence. It is actually a practical set of instructions. Forging this shield involves real, everyday actions. It means practicing slow, coherent breathing to actually calm your nervous system down. It means checking on your neighbors instead of obsessively refreshing those latest case counts on your phone. It means flat out refusing to let your attention be hijacked by all the noise and really committing to telling the truth. As Alara explains to Kael, this isn't magic, right? It's about shifting probability. By maintaining healthier nervous systems and stronger immune responses, these communities just make themselves way less prone to panic. They make better choices, and ultimately, they make the Darkit's job of planetary control significantly harder. All of this leads Kael to a really profound realization. He's looking up at the sky, literally seeing the invisible chemistry of engineered fear just hanging over the cities. And then he looks at the reports coming in from these quiet little villages. And it hits him. There is a war being fought between 2 atmospheres. It's this epic battle between 2 totally different kinds of weather, 2 competing operating systems for humanity. The Darchitect is out there trying to hijack the atmosphere itself. But the Watcher is simply helping people remember how to breathe. Which leaves us with this final, and I think incredibly provocative thought. The Darchitect's ultimate goal isn't just to poison the air, you see. It's to convince you that the poisoned air is absolutely all there is, to make you forget that you have any agency or control at all. But what happens when we choose to be human? What happens when enough people just refuse to abandon themselves to the fear and instead choose to build a climate of connection that these plagues simply cannot fully enter? It really makes you reflect on your own atmosphere, doesn't it? Like, how are you managing your own field in the face of all the noise out there today? Definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for joining us on this explainer, and remember, keep your field strong.